This is story of Ra. Before the first dawn ever broke, before men walked upon the Nile, before even the stars had names, there was only darkness and the endless waters of none. From that silence rose a single flame, a light unlike any other, and in that light was Ra. He would soar each day across the heavens in a golden bark, his eyes blazing as the sun itself. By his hand gods were shaped, and by his voice the world was ordered. But Ra's tale is not one of peace alone. Each night, in the black caverns beneath the earth, he faced the great serpent Apep, who sought to devour the light and plunge creation back into chaos. He sent forth his eye, a fiery goddess who punished those who defied him, a force both protector and destroyer. Yet even the mightiest of gods cannot outrun time, for Ra would age, and men would rebel against him, and his throne upon earth would tremble. What became of the great sun god, how he rose, how he reigned, and how he faded? This is the tale we shall tell. In the beginning there was only none, the boundless waters of chaos. No earth, no sky, no gods, only silence and infinite darkness. From this endless sea rose a single mound of earth, the first land, gleaming in the new light of creation. And upon that sacred mound appeared Ra. He was not born from mother nor father, he was self-created, a flame emerging from the abyss, his body shining with the power of the sun. He named himself into being, for in his words lay creation itself. Ra stretched his arms and spoke the names of the world. From his breath came Shu, the air, and from his tears came Tefnut, the moisture. Together they shaped the balance of life, so that the heavens and earth could be formed. The young god shone across the mound, and his light revealed Geb, the earth, and Nut, the sky. Their children, Osiris, Isis, Seth, and Nephthys would follow, but it was Ra's voice that first set them on their path. In his youth Ra was radiant, strong, and eternal. Each day he rose in his golden bark, bringing light to gods and mortals alike, and each night he descended into the Duat, the underworld, to travel through darkness and return renewed. Thus Ra was father and ruler of all, born of nothing, creator of everything. He was the first king upon the earth, guiding gods and men, holding the scepter of order, the eternal flame against the waters of chaos. When Ra's light filled the world, no power rivaled him. He was the great king of gods and men, seated on the throne of creation, his voice law, his breath life itself. Each morning Ra rose from the eastern horizon in his golden solar bark, bringing dawn to Egypt. His light nourished the fields, ripened the grain, and gave power to the Nile's waters. Without him there was no order, no mart, no balance, but Ra's journey was never without peril. Each evening as the sun fell, he descended into the Duat, the shadowed underworld. There, in the blackest hours, the great serpent Apep awaited, a monster of coils and teeth, born of chaos, who sought to devour the sun and plunge all creation into darkness. Yet Ra was never alone. The gods sailed with him, Set, fierce and unyielding, standing at the prow to strike Apep, Thoth, wise and watchful, guiding the course, and Ma'at herself, the feather of truth, who sat beside Ra to keep balance in the darkest night. But it was not only in the underworld that Ra's strength was tested, for even upon earth men began to whisper rebellion. Grown weary of his rule, they conspired against their divine king, and so Ra's eye was unleashed. From his brow he sent forth Sekhmet, the lion-headed goddess of war, burning with his wrath. She swept across the land, her fury unstoppable, until the Nile ran red with the blood of those who defied him. When the slaughter became too great, Ra pitied mankind and tricked Sekhmet into drinking beer dyed red like blood. Drunk and pacified, her rage subsided, and mankind was spared. But the rebellion had changed Ra. From then on, he withdrew from the earth, rising ever higher into the heavens. He no longer walked among men as king, but shone above them as distant lord, master of the sky. Still, each day he rose, and each night he battled in the dark, his strength the shield of the world. Time spares no king, not even the sun. Though Ra had ruled from the first dawn, the years gathered around him like sand drifting across ancient stone. He had created the gods from his breath, the humans from his tears. He had shaped Ma'at, the order that held all things. And yet, his strength began to wane. The myths say his body was still radiant. His flesh gleamed like gold, his bones shone like silver, and his hair sparkled like lapis lazuli. But even the most dazzling body cannot hide the weight of eternity. Ra had grown old, and the world could feel it. In those distant days, Ra still walked upon the earth. He ruled not only as a god but as a pharaoh, sovereign over the land of Egypt. He wore the crowns of Upper and Lower Egypt. His throne stood at Heliopolis. His voice was law, and the people obeyed. But with each passing year, shadows lengthened behind him. Whispers began in secret places. Ra is not what he was. He is tired. He has ruled too long. Men spoke of revolution, of tearing down the divine order and crowning their own kings. They forgot who gave them light, who kept the serpent Apep at bay, who sailed the heavens so they could sleep beneath stars instead of darkness. Ra was not deaf. He heard their conspiracies, and rage burned in his chest. In a voice like thunder over sand, he summoned the great Ennead, his divine council, Shu and Tefnut, Geb and Nut, Thoth the wise, and Ma'at the embodiment of truth. They gathered beneath the golden canopy of heaven, and Ra said, "Men plot against their maker, shall they not be punished? Shall I allow rebellion to go unanswered?" There was silence, none dared contradict the sun, and so Ra called upon his most terrible weapon, his eye. From his brow came the lion-headed goddess Sekhmet, born of his wrath, a flame in the shape of a beast. Her roar split the sky, her paws crushed mountains. She descended upon the rebels with divine fury. What followed was not a battle, it was a slaughter. Sekhmet tore through the cities and fields. Mortals fled, but none escaped. Her thirst for blood was endless, and Ra did not stop her. Not at first, but then Ra looked upon the earth, and saw it burning. He saw corpses floating in the Nile. He smelled smoke where wheat had once grown, and he felt something heavier than anger, regret. He remembered that mankind had been made from his tears. They were his children, imperfect, yes, but his. So he devised a plan. He ordered his priests to brew thousands of jars of beer, and to dye it with red ochre so it shimmered like blood. At dawn they poured the beer across the fields where Sekhmet would walk. Sekhmet came. She saw the red flood, and believed it to be the blood of men. With joy she drank jar after jar until her steps slowed, and her breath grew heavy. She lay down beneath a tree, drunk and quiet, and the world exhaled. Ra had saved humanity, but at great cost. He had seen their betrayal. He had unleashed divine wrath, and he knew now he could no longer walk among mortals. So he left. He gathered the gods and announced his retirement. He would no longer rule the earth in flesh. He would rise into the heavens, far above men and their chaos, and reign from the sky. With that, Ra climbed onto the back of the great celestial cow, the goddess Hathor, in her gentlest form, and was carried upward into the stars. From then on, Ra became the distant sun, rising each morning, setting each night, no longer a king beside men, but a god above them. But his work was not over. Each night, as the world slipped into darkness, Ra descended into the Duat, the Egyptian underworld. The Duat was not a place of stillness. It was a river of shadows, a maze of gates and guardians, a realm filled with dangers no mortal eye could withstand. For 12 hours, Ra sailed through it, each hour a passage deeper into darkness. He was not alone. Thoth stood at his side, recording each trial. Ma'at offered balance. Set, his most violent champion, stood at the prow, ready to fight the ancient enemy. That enemy was Apep, the great serpent, the chaos before all things. He waited in the darkness, fangs gleaming, ready to devour the sun. Each night, Apep struck, coils as wide as rivers, jaws as large as tombs. Each night, Ra fought back, spells were chanted, blades clashed, the boat of Ra cracked and groaned, and always, just before dawn, Ra triumphed. But something changed in these later years. In the deepest hour of night, Ra met Osiris, the god of the dead. Osiris ruled the silent halls where souls were judged, where hearts were weighed against the feather of truth, and Ra saw in him not a rival, but a mirror. They joined. Ra, the god of day, Osiris, the god of night, two halves of eternity, sun and shadow, light and silence. And from that moment on, Ra was not just the sun that rose, but the sun that died, and was reborn. But while Ra's journey continued, his influence upon Earth faded. Men now turned to Osiris for the afterlife, to Isis for magic, to Horus for kingship. And in the south, a hidden god began to rise, Ammon of Thebes, a god unseen, unknowable, whose power came from being beyond all things. Ammon gathered followers, temples grew, priests whispered that Ammon was not just a god, but the god. And so Ra was joined to him, not defeated, but folded into something greater. Ammon-Ra, a god of light and mystery, of presence and absence. Still, Ra remained. For all the new gods, all the changing temples, all the shifting names, the sun still rose. Each morning, golden light spilled across the Nile. Each night the stars returned. Ra was no longer the king, but he was still the cycle, the breath of the world, the rhythm behind life. And though men called other names, when they lifted their faces to the sky at dawn, it was still Ra who warmed their skin, the aging king, the distant flame, yet eternal. When Ra withdrew from the earth and rose forever into the sky, he left behind more than temples and stories. He left behind rhythm. He left behind time itself. Ra no longer needed feet to walk among men, because he became the path. No longer needed a throne, because he became the sunrise. He did not fade, he transformed. For the ancient Egyptians, Ra never truly disappeared. His golden light still washed over the Nile. His presence burned into the daily ritual of life. Each dawn they rose to greet him. Each noon they bowed beneath his strength. Each dusk they watched him fall, not in defeat but in duty to begin the eternal journey through night. His name was inscribed on temple walls, spoken by farmers as they planted grain, whispered by mothers as they rocked their children beneath the last light of day. They did not worship him from fear alone. They worshipped because they saw him, not just in the sky, but in all things that returned, the floodwaters, the harvest, the beating heart. Ra was not a myth. He was proof that the world had structure, that chaos had not won, that each day, order could be reborn. Temples were built that mirrored the sun's journey. In Heliopolis, the city of the sun, the temple complex radiated with obelisks like petrified rays of light. Priests lined its courts before sunrise, waiting not for a metaphor, but for their god to rise again in flame. They sang to him with voices like wind through stone. In Luxor and Karnak, even gods like Ammon were joined with Ra. His power was too great to be left alone, so they merged, forming Ammon-Ra, king of gods. The rituals were daily resurrection. The priests believed that if they failed in their duty, if Ra was not greeted, fed, purified, honored, then the sun might not rise. The serpent Apep might win, the world might shatter. These were not just ceremonies, they were survival. The priests of Ra were keepers of time. They shaved their heads, wore only white, and rose before the rest of the world to meet the light. They entered sacred chambers in silence. They lit incense with flint as the horizon brightened. They anointed Ra's image in oils. They presented offerings of bread and beer, fruits and fire. They spoke sacred words that only they were allowed to know. And then they waited for the light to answer. Each noon they sang his strength. Each dusk they sang his descent. And each midnight they dreamed of his battle with Apep in the underworld. Their entire lives were stitched to the fabric of his myth. To serve Ra was to live within the gears of eternity. Even Egypt's kings, mighty as they were, knew they were only shadows of him. The pharaoh was called the son of Ra, not as flattery but as truth. He wore the uraeus serpent on his brow, Ra's mark. His cartouches bore the name of the sun. His tombs aligned with the path of the solar bark. When he died, he hoped not to rest but to rise, to join Ra in the bark, to battle chaos, to be reborn alongside the light. Their pyramids pointed skyward, as if the earth itself longed to return to the god who made it. But kingdoms fall, dynasties vanish beneath sand, the voices of priests fade, new gods rise, foreign names are carved into stone. And so it was that the worship of Ra, once the center of the world, began to dim. The Greeks came and then the Romans. The old hymns were translated or silenced, temples became ruins, the statues were defaced, the rituals forgotten, the Bennu bird no longer sang in Heliopolis. The obelisks stood in silence, casting long shadows over empty altars, yet Ra endured. Not in stone but in rhythm, not in language but in light. The world still turned, the sun still rose, and though his name was no longer shouted by thousands, he was still seen by all. Even when his temples were forgotten, the ideas he embodied remained. That light has power, that darkness must be fought, that each day is a chance to begin again. Some believed he never left. That when the river runs dry, or lightning splits the sky, or drought devours the land, it is Ra reminding us that he still watches, that his eye still sees, that his wrath though dormant, is not gone. Others say he waits, that the sun is more than a star, it is a gate, a place where Ra watches in silence, that one day he will return, not just in light, but in form, riding his golden bark not through the Duat, but across the mortal sky, to reclaim what was lost. There are even those who believe he never retreated at all, but passed the torch to us, that we are the bearers of light now, that when we uphold truth, speak against chaos, defend what is just, we become vessels of the sun, that the eye of Ra now lives within the heart of those who remember. Even today the memory survives. In every sunrise there is a myth being reborn, in every solar calendar, in every ancient timekeeper, in every belief that darkness is not final, there is Ra. We no longer burn incense for him, but we still honor mourning. We no longer chant his hymns, but we still build our lives around his rhythm. The ancient Egyptians feared what might happen if Ra were forgotten, if Ma'at, the cosmic balance, were broken. They believed that without the sun, chaos would flood the world. And maybe they were right. Look at the world now. Greed swells, truth bends, violence rises like heat over stone. The world spins faster, but the light seems thinner. The balance is fragile, and yet the sun still rises. That, above all, is Ra's message. The cycle endures. He is not just a god of victory, he is a god of repetition, of persistence, of eternity. Ra teaches us that every dusk can become a dawn, that even when the serpent strikes, the sun will fight. That light may vanish, but it will return, and in that we find meaning, in the warmth on our skin, in the golden hour, in the instinct to wake, in the pull of the horizon. Whether we believe or not, we carry his legacy, for Ra is not gone. He sails still, not above us, but within.
This is the story of a god who was not born, but became, of a flame that rose from nothing and called itself Ra. Before the earth knew sky, before the Nile found banks, before mortals took breath or gods had names, there was only silence and the endless sea of none, and from that silence came light. From light came time, and from time came order. Ra did not emerge from a mother's womb or a sculptor's hand. He shaped himself in fire, formed his body from brilliance and his voice from eternity. He was the first motion, the first sound, the first sight. He opened his mouth and the world answered. From his breath came air, from his tears came humans, from his gaze came the eye, the guardian of his will. The gods themselves were shaped by his longing for balance. He rose in the east, not once but always. He sailed across the sky in a golden bark, his rays falling like gifts upon Egypt. He gave warmth to the grain, water to the soil, direction to the stars. His crown burned with the sun disk, his name echoed in the halls of dawn. Ra was not a ruler of temples. He was the sky itself, stitched into every cycle. In those earliest days, Ra walked the earth. He was not myth, he was present. Men built their cities under his light, and listened when he spoke. Kings bent their knees, priests sang his name. Even the gods stepped aside when Ra passed, for he was the origin of their power. His voice divided darkness, his eye devoured rebellion. He kept the serpent ape coiled in fear beneath the horizon. But power is not timeless, even gods age, and Ra the eternal began to feel the drag of time. His body, once unstoppable, slowed. His crown felt heavier, his step grew cautious, and men, forgetful of the fires that birthed them, began to murmur in the shadows. Ra is old, they whispered. Why should we kneel to a god who limps? They turned their eyes to the dusk instead of the dawn. Ra heard them, and for the first time he did not answer with creation, but with destruction. From his brow leapt Sekhmet, his eye in flesh, a lioness with a heart aflame. She hunted men without mercy, she bathed in their blood. Cities turned red, the Nile ran thick, the earth grew quiet with fear. But when the silence grew too deep, even Ra recoiled. He pitied the mortals he had made. He calmed Sekhmet with trickery, offering red beer in place of blood. And when she slept drunk and still, Ra made a decision that would change all things. He left the earth. He rose into the heavens, ascending upon the back of the divine cow, carried beyond mortal reach. From that day forward, Ra became the distant sun. He no longer walked among men. He sailed above them, radiant but remote. His face no longer smiled. It shone. Still, he remained protector. Each evening, he descended into the Duat, the underworld of shadow. There his solar bark journeyed through 12 gates, one for each hour of night. There he met enemies not of flesh but of idea. Chaos, disorder, oblivion. Apep, the serpent of the void, waited each night to devour the sun, and each night Ra fought him back, not with an army, not with noise, but with persistence. Night after night he faced the darkness, and morning after morning he returned. And yet, even in the depths of night, Ra found something more. In the heart of the Duat stood Osiris, lord of the dead, green-skinned and crowned in silence. Ra did not fight him, he did not command him, he joined him. The sun and the tomb became one. Light and death were no longer enemies, but partners. From that unity came balance, from that balance came eternity. As Ra aged, others rose. Osiris, Horus, Isis, Amun, they gained followers, temples, names. Kings no longer called themselves only sons of Ra, but of many gods. And still, Ra did not rage. He understood. The sun does not ask for loyalty. It gives, whether remembered or not. Temples crumbled. Sand swallowed stone. The world forgot the names, but it did not forget the sun. Every morning, it rose. Every evening, it returned. That was enough. Ra no longer demanded praise. He became rhythm. He became law. He became time. He became the thing that could not be escaped, even by those who no longer remembered the story. And yet, the story never truly ended. Some say Ra watches still, that he sails his bark, not just through night, but through memory. That when injustice rises, or truth bends, or chaos creeps into order, the eye of Ra stirs, not in flame but in conscience. Others say the sun itself is Ra's last temple, that the flame we orbit is not just heat, but heart, that Ra waits at its core, whispering through light, calling across millennia for his children to remember. They say that eclipses are warnings, that solar storms are roars, that dawn is still a covenant, and they ask, will he return? If he does, it may not be in gold, not in flesh or fire. It may be in silence, in someone who stands against the dark, in a people who rebuild truth from dust, in a voice that names the stars again. Ra was not merely a god of light. He was a god of beginnings, of cycles, of persistence. He did not promise escape from darkness. He promised return. And perhaps that is the oldest, deepest meaning of his myth, that chaos can rise, but will not stay. That truth may be buried, but not broken. That light fades, but does not die. And that the end is never the end, only a passage, a gate, an eclipse. Ra does not walk beside us, but his steps are in the rhythm of the day. His pulse is in the heat of the sun. His silence is in the quiet before dawn. We do not need his name to live by his law. Every act of balance, every word of truth, every defense against chaos, these are Ra's breath in the mortal world. So when you see the sun rise tomorrow, do not ask if Ra still lives. Ask instead, do we still deserve his light?